So today we're going to talk about a name you've almost certainly heard, a figure who is just incredibly complex, Saddam Hussein. I mean, how can one person be seen as a modernizer by some, but a brutal tyrant by so many others? Let's get into it.
And boom, right away you see the central problem. This quote, it just perfectly nails the conflict at the very heart of his story. You've got the ruler who, yes, did build a modern state, and then you have the tyrant who ruled with an iron fist.
So how does that even happen? That's the real question, right? How does a single person come to represent such complete opposites? Well, to even start to figure that out, we have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay, first up, the path to power. We're going to look at the calculated moves and the politics that took Saddam from, a small village all the way to the absolute top of the food chain in Iraq.
He was born back in 1937, and this wasn't some overnight success story. It was a long, slow climb through the ranks of the Ba'ath Party, which was this revolutionary group all about Arab nationalism and socialist ideas. He was a master of political maneuvering during a really chaotic time, and that's what put him in the perfect position to grab the top spot, the presidency.
Okay, so if there's one year you need to remember, it's this one, 1979. This is the moment everything, and I mean everything, changes. He's officially the president, and he pulls all the power of the state into his own two hands. This isn't just a promotion, it's the start of a whole new era, one defined completely by him. And that brings us to the very heart of his rule, a reign of conflict. Because once he had that absolute power, his entire presidency was defined by war, not just against his neighbors, but against his own people too.
These three things right here, they basically sum up his entire reign, and they were all connected. His absolute power was held up by this massive security force that just crushed anyone who stepped out of line. That power let him wage these long, drawn-out wars, like the absolutely devastating 8-year war with Iran. And to keep those wars going and to hold on to his power, he relied on brutal control. We're talking chemical attacks on his own Kurdish population. You see, each one fed the other in this awful cycle of violence.
And this is just a perfect example of what happened when his actions hit the world stage. That invasion of Kuwait in 1990, it was a huge gamble that completely blew up in his face. It led to the whole world condemning him and slapping on these just devastating economic sanctions. These sanctions absolutely crippled Iraq's economy for more than a decade, causing massive shortages of food and medicine that hurt everyday people.
All of that isolation really set the stage for the end, didn't it? The final chapter of Saddam's story is just a swift and total collapse, a really dramatic end for a life built on what seemed like unshakable authority. And the year that sealed the deal? 2003. The US-led invasion of Iraq brought a definitive end to his 24-year rule. It didn't just topple a leader, it toppled an entire regime, and it all happened in a matter of weeks.
And what happened next unfolded incredibly fast. After the invasion, he went into hiding, but he was found and captured. Then, he was put on trial by an Iraqi court, and ultimately, he was executed in 2006. It was the final, absolute end to his life and his era.
Which brings us right back to where we started. On one side of the coin, he was the president of Iraq, a recognized head of state on the world stage, but on the other side, his legacy is just stamped with his rule of brutal control. The crazy part is both of these things are true at the same time, which makes any simple judgment pretty much impossible.
And so, at the end of the day, we're left with this huge question. And it's not really just about Saddam, is it? It's about power itself. When one person's life holds such violent contradictions, how is history supposed to remember them? Honestly, there is no easy answer.